I'm coming to you from an undisclosed wilderness location to discuss your future on your small farm, homestead, or estate. So this is a critical time in the United States history and the infrastructure of the United States. I'm actually finished up working on a homesteading project. I'm in my work clothes and I can hear the traffic out there near the road, and it's time to just kind of chill out and think about what we're doing here. And so I'm going to do one of my from my desk messages. Now, I'm not at my desk, but again, I have an outline in my head that I'd like to share with you. First off, I'm Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead. This is what I look like normally. Normally I'm behind the camera. Sometimes I'm in front of the camera. In a professional environment, I am a risk management consultant. I support financial services firms, and I help them with their risks and controls around the policies, laws, rules, and regulations. And right now, the financial services firms are having a horrible time. Now, part of what I do as a risk management professional is to determine fact from fiction, to determine how things should be, and audit them to determine how they are, and then we find solutions. And I went to the Federal Reserve. I went to a couple different SEC, different reporting agencies. They report on the health of banks. And right now there are 177, 190 or so that have high risk criteria. Now, it doesn't matter which specific bank, it doesn't matter if it's national bank or a small bank, but the fallout of things like FTX, the big scandal there where there was money laundering, where there was all kinds of financial scams, the problems with First Republic, other banks that are failing, gives people in the population an uneasy feeling about what the future may hold. Now, I'm a person for action rather than just talking about things. And while I am verbose in what I do, and I do talk about concerns and frustrations, I'm always looking for answers. That's my point. So let's talk about if there is financial collapse, if there is food insecurity, either caused by inflation or supply chain issues like we saw during COVID, if there are pricing issues. Currently, property prices, many people are priced out of the marketplace. And the big issue too is that the middle class is getting squeezed. Now, there are some studies, Washington Post just did a study that says the middle class is not being squeezed. Like, how do you know what the truth is? Well, again, my analytical mindset is going to go to the source, and it's going to look at the data, and it's going to figure out what's going on. Inflation is real. Food prices have tripled, more than doubled. In Obama's presidential year alone, price doubled. During Trump, prices went up. Now with the Russian embargo, prices went up. Now that Russia, China, Brazil, a bunch of other countries have gone off on their own commodity-based currency, prices have gone up. So if you were living paycheck to paycheck, even with six figures, and I've written about this before, there's a lot of six-figure professionals sitting in an office somewhere that are living paycheck to paycheck. And many of them are afraid to do what I'm doing, by the way. So if I'm wearing a suit and tie in the office, now I have let the beard grow since before COVID. This is not a COVID beard. But essentially I am letting the beard go more natural. I tend to have a more thrifty look about things. So I do wear clothes that have been recycled or upcycled. But I'm usually in a suit and tie in an office space. And a lot of those folks don't want to get their hands dirty. Look at this. My hands are dirty. My nose is itching because of the pollen. A lot of folks are going to be in their little house, their little suburban paradise, or in their city apartment, suffering and too ashamed, too worried, too fearful to find out what's going on. So you're not talking to your neighbors to find out that the people with fixed incomes are suffering right now. You're not going to the grocery store because you just have it ordered and have it delivered. You don't actually know the price of things. But credit cards are increasing. Debt is increasing. Interest rates are increasing. The buying power of your money is diminishing. So you thought you could have $2.3 million in the bank account. So probably about 5 or 10 years ago, I did a special report about what's that enough is enough number. And that enough is enough number is how much is in your bank account, where your residual earnings off of that investment will pay for your housing, your food, your core expenses. Okay, no vacations or anything, but it's paying for your core expenses. That's a definition of wealth, as we talk about in Sustainable Wealth Secrets, which is another newsletter that I have. And that was $2.3 million for the typical person. That'll spend off probably like $110,000. You're going to get about $40,000 for in interest earnings for every $1 million in the bank. But all of that, boom, out of, it's not really left field because the money systems had problems, but now that number is $4 million. If you're going to live in a city, it could be $5 or $6 million. If you don't have $5 or $6 million in the bank account, in your bank account today, then you're going to have to make adjustments. So what I do is I look at the situation, I try to identify the problem, potential solutions, and then the actions I'm going to take that fit within my goals and directives. If you've got a copy of my book, What Do You Want and How Do You Get It?, then you'll have the exercise that I go through. I've gone through it with clients for years, but it's an exercise that identifies what it is you want, why do you want it, and then the criteria of success, so you know what it's like to have the success. I have had clients say they want $1 million, and then when we get them $1 million, because they have a business and we grow the business, they want $2 million. And I'm like, well, are you going to enjoy the million that you got? That's what you're going for. The truth of it is, if you don't have a clear why, even if you had $10 million, it's not going to be enough. But when external situations change, such as the economy, such as political unrest, such as global economic crisis, such as oil and gas prices are going through the roof. Some political people want to price people out of oil and gas to go to electric. And now the studies come out that the electric is using slaves. It's using slave children in Africa to mine these metals and then to put them in the vehicles so that you can have a lithium battery. Oh, and by the way, you better get a lithium iron battery because other lithium batteries have had the tendency to explode. So a lot of folks will write in, and I always offer you the ability to write in, but they'll write into me and they'll say, Justin, I don't know what to do. There are too many options, too many problems, too many challenges. But again, we want, like Napoleon Hill says, accurate thinking. And then they come back and they're like, well, I accurately looked at it and, I have 50 problems instead of 25 problems. But the thing is, okay, every problem has the opportunity for a solution. Some problems you're not going to bother to solve because you can't do anything about it. Climate change, for example. You can do something about climate change, but it's not what you think it is. So they talk about climate change. The climate is constantly changing. It's been hotter, it's been colder on the planet. We know it's a fact that climate changes. Now, humans influence climate change, and so some people think they're doing something by bitching, moaning, and complaining that someone else could fix the problem. Well, what about what we're talking about here? On Prosperity Homestead, we talk about what can you do in your own home. So I'm actually putting myself up to a challenge. Now, I wasn't going to publicly disclose this because it's a little weird for some people, but Rob Greenfield, actually, he's an environmentalist, an activist. He actually liquidated all the things he had, lived with minimal items, and then he travels and does stuff. There's a couple, 123 Home Free. He basically is a itinerant sheep herder. I am actually going to implement my intentional thrift program that I've talked about for years. I've used it for years, but I'm going to go as far as to live environmentally, sustainably, and ultimately with minimal inputs. Now, I'm not doing this because of the economy. It's something I've done over the years from time to time. I have a kind of an eclectic approach of things, but what is it particularly, and what are the benefits of what I'm talking about? So number one, when I work with especially immigrants and first-generation millionaires, they tend to focus on the essentials, and then all surplus cash flow goes back into investments. Now, right now, the investments might not be very good, but a couple years from now, investments might be better. Now, I'm not going to tell you where to invest. I'm going to just share you my experience and what I'm focusing on. Now, as I get older in life, my spiritual well-being, my religious practices, my thoughts and beliefs, my challenging of an understanding of what I'm willing to tolerate and what I'm not willing to tolerate, these things have higher value than a second car or a nicer car or a car with low utility value. See, a lot of folks are getting Teslas, and one of my neighbors has a Maserati, not neighbors to here, but neighbors when I live in the city, has a Maserati, folks have some nice stuff, and that's great. If you want nice stuff, get nice stuff. But in my mind, I talk about high utility value and problem solving, so I'm fine with a pickup truck that is got nice little utility boxes on it. I could maybe get it a little better organized, but to tune it in so that the vehicle I have serves my long-term needs and interests. Secondly, that the vehicle is insulated from common risks. So it has a larger than average fuel tank, because sometimes fuel prices are off or not available. And so having more or less fuel when the prices are good is useful for me. I don't drive a lot. Having land and setting up a small farm or a homestead fits my needs and objectives. And if that's your system too, we teach a lot of that here. And even, for example, I'm standing in a trail it's like a complete trail system with camping sites. And so I'm even getting more outdoor enjoyment and hiking. Now, what's the benefit of all this? Well, first off, you don't have to be older to do this. You can do this in your 20s. In fact, I've done it in my 20s before when I downsized everything to move to a different location to work. Turned out it didn't work out because they were still downsized. This is 2000.com area. I ended up homeless for 2 years. And then ultimately, I found out there's a lot of stuff I didn't need. Now, the stuff that I needed was my books, my training materials, my library of articles that I've written over the years, basic clothing, that kind of thing. But I went from 0 to 6 figures again within, there's 2 years of a pity party. And then once I got over that, I'm back, I'm at like 65, 70,000, and then I'm back to like 120, 130. So earning money isn't the hard part. Now, I know you might be struggling trying to earn money, but again, when you can deliver value in the marketplace and you can make the right connections and you can understand where that money's going, the money will come to you. And then when it comes to you, you get more use out of it. But implementing my intentional thrift program means letting you see me how I am. I was just running an excavator and I was out working in the dirt, and we've been doing that for 6 or 7 hours today. And we ate lunch at a little gas station down the street. By the way, it's a nice little cafe. And this is how I spend part of my day. Now, in a world of social media, this might be confusing to people because they often dress up to be on social media. They often show their very best moments in life. But if you and I are going to connect heart to heart and start solving problems that you face, if you and I are going to share information so that we are mutually better in this interaction we have as you as viewer and me as teacher, and then again, I learn from my clients as much as I teach my clients. I try very hard to teach only what I've had years of experience in doing, to build my credentials as an expert rather than just some other face on the internet. Now, again, I am another face on the internet because you're probably watching me on YouTube, but the key is when you get the accurate thinking, you're going to have this list of problems. I encourage you to write those down. Then you're going to be able to set that aside and decide what is it that you want from life. Do you want a small farm? Do you want more financial freedom? Do you want more physical security? Do you want more freedom in your choice? Do you want to be free from cancellation? Do you want to be able to say what you want, do what you want? All that is possible in a well-functioning society as an active citizen in that well-functioning society. More importantly, as part of a family and a community around that family. So you and I are connected through the podcast and through the YouTube channel as part of a community interested in outdoor activities, interested in permaculture, land management. This is habitat restoration and management going on all around here. You may be into hiking, you may be into outdoor activities. That's our community, and I welcome you there. Now, I'm a part of other communities as well, including my squirrel community that's right there. As far as communities are concerned, as I'm a publisher, I'm a consultant. I provide coaching to a handful of small private clients, and a small handful of private clients. And that horsefly is distracting me right there. And a part of my local community here. I want you to map out those communities, because what you're going to find out is that in times of trouble, Your spiritual foundation is going to help you with direction, but the resources you need to solve problems are going to come from the communities around you and come from the people you know and trust. And so you may not trust the politicians, you may not trust the mainstream media, you may not even trust the local politicians, but can you trust, do you know your neighbors? Have you been touching base with your family? We just had a family emergency happen, and we'd been out of touch with a family member. They ran into some trouble, and then we got into action, try to make things better. That's going to be a long struggle and journey. Economically, not everybody's doing as well as they have in the past in both my community and my local region. There are people who are on fixed incomes that are eating a can of beans a day. Beans, rice, and corn. That's what I learned when I was homeless. I slept on the floor at my brother's house, and fortunately, out of their good graces, we had an opportunity there. But they weren't going to put up with me just laying around doing nothing. So I wrote books. I picked up some consulting clients. I talk about my overcoming that adversity in another program. But the key is, what is the core nutrition necessary to have the right cognitive approach? Because if you're not getting enough food, if you're not getting enough sleep, if you're not getting enough of just relaxation and meditation. Now, you can relax too much, but again, sometimes that meditation, we talked about the walking meditation in previous programs, sometimes that meditation is just getting out in nature and reconnecting with what it is, your purpose, what it is you want to accomplish, what it is that your close friends need and that you can help them with. And then we're going to invest in those relationships over time, not for what we get out of them, but what we can do to define our character and grow as individuals in that connection. So again, let's get back to the main theme of this, is that I noticed that sometimes, like during COVID when they locked everybody down, of course, I had a commission report about the COVID thing, and I kind of understand what was going on. I didn't stay locked down because I'm involved in agricultural activities and those were exempt. But I heard from a lot of people that they were in their home for 6 months. In fact, for 6 months, we didn't go to the grocery store. We stayed in our home, not in our homes, but we did other stuff. But we didn't go in public places because we weren't quite clear what's going on. But I realized I want the freedom of movement. I want the right to my body. I want to take control of my immediate surroundings and decide whether or not I want to wear a face diaper. Now, with all the health-related items aside, because I don't want to go into the study that we did for private clients, that's a distraction here. The key thing is that if you're in a situation of adversity and you sit down, you pray, you get clarity with meditation, you do journaling, and then now you have an idea of what you want and desire. How do we help you get it as soon as possible? If you don't have enough food in your community, how do we help you get a community garden? If you don't have enough of time, how do we help you delegate through apprenticeships or through cooperative relationships, through hiring the right staff? How do we help you get the results that you need? Now, that's hard to do when you're afraid. That's hard to do when you're scared. That's hard to do when you turn to authority for your answers, because that authority is not always looking out for you. It's hard to do if you haven't prepared when you don't have to. So all these years, I've lived pretty high on the hog. I've enjoyed myself. Now, I've saved a lot of money. I took care of family. I did the things that I needed to do. So I wasn't, I'm not living that high on the hog. I did eat a lot of ice cream, which I've cut back on quite a bit because that's not good for you. But that mindset, and I don't know if you've been there before, but you're like, enough is enough. Now is the time that I'm going to get the results that I'm looking for, and then I'm not going to be treated poorly by supervisors. I'm not going to put up with people doing things that I think are unethical, and then I'm going to ultimately define my own future. Now, this is something I knew how to do, but again, I want to share with you publicly that this is a conscious effort that's been going on for a little while. And yes, the beard confuses people. The simple mode of dress confuses people, but I don't care. I'm wearing my onesie, and I'm getting work done, and I take it to the laundromat, get it all cleaned up for the next week. I'm going for function over fashion. If you've been involved with some of the other videos we have, you'll notice I've taken up sewing and mending again. There's some philosophical elements to that. I've continued meditating for quite a while, prayer, reflection, journaling, all the things that we teach. I actually do that stuff, by the way. I don't always do it all consistently, but I always find that those insights are anchors that help shore me up during the most terrifying storms. And when that mental clarity comes back, which if you're unclear about what you should do next, we can help you get clear. We can help you get focused. We can help you achieve more, accomplish more with fewer resources, create better results, build business relationships, establish credibility in your marketplace so that you're an in-demand professional. When people are applying for jobs, there's like 400 resumes going in. Majority of those people are not qualified. I just work with recruiters and hiring managers and go directly to the people who are hiring, and then I get more feedback. I get a better response. Now, some of those office people are confused by the beard. I don't know if you're in an office space, but it is very true that a lot of folks in cities look down on us country folk, thinking we're unsophisticated, that we're all just dancing around, getting jiggy with it instead of actually doing any serious work. But that's further from the truth. The farmers, the outdoorsmen, the people who are caring for their family are building a foundation for this nation. They're building a foundation for their children. They're creating things that are intangible. And if you're disconnected in your sterile environment of the office, and I know a lot of you guys feel that. You're in the office and you just feel like that nothing you do contributes to anything. It's fire after fire. It's frustration after frustration. It's lies. You're being told one thing, but the leadership is doing something else. You're told the company is great, and then they lay people off. And now you want reality. Well, what if that reality is a simple life? What if that reality is intentional thrift? What if that reality is investing in yourself, including your education, but also investing in your family, which could mean reserve funds. It could mean buying assets that cash flow rather than enjoying vacations. You enjoy life itself. And then so I'm going to show you through the journey here, and I'm probably not going to put half the stuff on the videos because here's the interesting thing about the YouTubes. So I've been running a newsletter for like 20 years now. I've been doing videos and training programs for my clients. The thing about social media today is that there's a lot of forecasting rather than doing. So I'm not going to put consistent videos up. If you want to come out and learn how some of this stuff works, I'm working with trainers and experts, and they're doing training programs, and I'll just invite you to a training program, and then you can learn with me or you can learn from me. If you're a private client, I'd rather focus my attention on paying private clients than just some bum off the street on a YouTube channel. Now, don't get me wrong, I appreciate you being here. But if you're not taking action, if you're just letting this go in one ear and come out the other ear, then you're not getting the benefit of the time that I'm putting in here. Now, as I've mentioned in other programs, I very often create these for specific people and for specific personas of my newsletter subscribers. So if I'm talking to you right now, you need to join us and get involved with what we've got here. Now, you can like and subscribe to this channel. You can visit me at www.prosperityhomestead.org if you're interested in the outdoor stuff. If you're interested in reaching me direct, it's justinhitt.com. Either way you go to the contact page, it goes to me, a real person. When we do group coaching calls, when we talk about strategy, when we do individual counseling or coaching, it's all about results. So the last thing I'm going to leave you with, is your life producing the outcome you desire? Because I know when I look forward on today, this is not the future that I wanted. This is the future that I have the skills to succeed with. But the economy sucks. Inflation's too high. Food prices are going through the roof. People are scared. There's war. There's a lot of things that are scary. But then again, there's stuff like thorium reactors. There's stuff like quantum mechanics, artificial intelligence. There's also a lot of exciting things going on as well that are behind the scenes. So what I really want to help you with is And it sounds a little self-centered, but figuring out what you want and then leveraging the positive of the world to achieve what you want while mitigating or managing the risk of the negative. Okay, we can't ignore the negative. It's still there. This is not a kumbaya. This is a, karate chop, get some shit done. But again, life is too short to be frustrated. Life is too short to live with a mask on. And so when I go on social media, which I try not to do because it's kind of distraction from the real work I'm getting done, or when I'm sharing with my newsletter subscribers, it's the real me coming to you. Authenticity is more important than impression. Now, some people are going to look at me and they're like, he's a hick. Some people think I'm a terrorist. Some people think I've been called some weird stuff. But again, the takeaway is, what is it that you want? How can we help you get it? And then ultimately, what does it matter that other people think? Because when you're taking care of your family, when you're taking care of your community, you're going to be so busy, you're going to be so successful, you're going to be on the winning team, you're going to be enjoying life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I'm Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead. I'm going to take a breather. I'm probably going to walk down the trail and then walk over here, relax a little bit, maybe do some stretching. You don't want to see me doing a yoga, or do you? Anyway, be sure to like and subscribe. Make this the last video of the day. Get your journal out. Start writing about what it is that you want. Get on paper those frustrations so that we can conquer them. And ultimately, I'm here to help. So ask your questions. I'm here to help you, and I will take time. I sincerely enjoy interacting with people when it comes to their achievements. So we interact. You get some results. You tell me about the results. I'm all powered up, all excited, because when you implement, just like I'm implementing now more than ever before, you will be prepared, you will be prosperous, and you'll be successful. Until next time, I'm Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead. Visit me at www.prosperityhomestead.org and be sure to go to the contact page and ask your questions. Go to the newsletter page and join the newsletter, and I'll see you next time.